Hi everyone. I want to take a few moments to speak from my heart, something I have been holding on to, processing, and walking through quietly for a while now. As Jesse's girlfriend over the past several months, I have had a front row seat to both his character and challenges faced, especially in connection to Walk This Way media. It reminds me of one of my favorite quotes, Theodore Roosevelt's Man in the Arena. Jesse is that man. He has dared greatly. He has stepped into the arena, taking a risk, while most, I think we all could admit, would avoid such an undertaking, finding it more complacent on the sidelines. While Jesse is too busy climbing trees to save cats or fix what could possibly be your broken down car, he faces endless critics, slander, and isolation. But he tells me all the time someone's got to do it, because the truth is no one is doing it, and was why Walk This Way media worked and became what it is now. However, his fight isn't about appearances or reputation. Just let the beard and Baja hoodie speak for themselves. Jesse has a track record of not being liked for the sake of staying true. I think this is why we both work out so well, and because we are pretty much the same way. I've watched Jesse drop everything in a moment to go help someone. I have had to even encourage him to not go use his own money to help others pay for things until they can pay him back, pitch in, and give him at least some kind of compensation. But he insists. I've watched him always be available at any given hour to be ready to go, give his time and heart to a mission that truly mattered to him, and he helped start, even when it cost him more than most people will ever know. Only for all of those he agreed to give his time to, which includes all the living situations he's agreed upon, turn their backs on him, come at him with an agenda and strings attached. I often wondered why someone who gives so much and has a hard time saying no would only be given back nothing but lies, gaslighting, and personal attacks by people who he agreed to do things for. When Jesse speaks up about how things affect him, he's often met with being seen as the problem. It's depressing because I know the truth, and I've been there. I've sat with him through tough conversations, including when people on their own came to him with concerns or suspicions about Walk This Way media. I was there at the time he was on the phone with these people, or I was actually sitting there present. He didn't seek out defamation or putting others under the rug. People simply confided in him because they came with their concerns, recognizing he was a peacemaker, and in return, he gets blamed for the fact others saw through the corruption. When the incident at the park happened that circulated a few months back, I was there. It was actually the first day we were in public together as an exclusive couple, and what was meant to be an exciting time for Jesse and I turned into a nightmare. We were both told to never say a word about what actually happened, but now I will. David wanted to protect his own reputation, pulling me into a situation that wasn't even my business by asking me to walk over to this couple he had issues with. Mind you, this was the first time I actually gotten together with all of them. Jesse, who wasn't even with us at the time of this confrontation, was put into a position where he had to walk over and defend us because they were getting loud. I have all of this on recording. And somehow now, even through the confrontation, even though that confrontation had nothing to do with Jesse or even myself, but David, I was standing in the middle of it all. And how now we have been slandered for months. All the while, every consequence for others' actions get placed directly on Jesse. Never once have we been given an apology for what happened that day. Even though I was put on blast at my college and among students, all of those social work students of which approached me raising several ethical questions about what Walk This Way was doing. But of course, I had to let them know that none of those decisions had anything to do with Jesse, simply because he was the face of Walk This Way media. What is sad is that Jesse has consistently shown up for others, or even in trying to address something, only to be shown that they did not care enough to address it. They turned around calling him victim and poor Jesse. This is extremely rude. Jesse comes into every situation not expecting much, and almost to a fault, where I recognize he only feels guilty. He often feels guilty for even hoping people would have his best interests, and yet ends up finding out that they absolutely did not have his best interests, but only their own, even if what that means is throwing him completely under the bus. So let's talk about some of the actual things being said. Things like, watch out for your needy friends around Jesse, or he's stealing donations, or charging the needy, or that he doesn't show up for $1,000 jobs. All of it is lies. And you know why? Because I have been with him for 6 months now, and never once, as a single parent, or in being with him, have I felt manipulated, used, or like he was trying to get something from me. I know what manipulation looks like, and Jesse hasn't been that, unlike what has been going around circulating on these pages. And I know all of these things being said are false because, once again, I have been there, and even to some of these jobs of his to hang out. I've heard the things on speakerphone. I've seen the Google Maps where he's going, the job sites, the text threads. I've seen Jesse give more than he has even had to give. He's barely slept some nights, working long hours, barely even eats, trust me, because he comes over to my house, and has to be reminded sometimes, going weeks without being paid, just hoping the people he helped can eventually come through. So when you go on these pages making statements like these from the sidelines, because again, you aren't in the arena, only the spectator, you need to think about who is the one going around making false statements. You accuse Jesse of exactly what you're doing, and then get offended wondering why he has to come clean up your mess you've made on these pages and everywhere else. At one point, I even encouraged Jesse to consider some kind of sponsorship to help make ends meet while waiting to be an employee of Walk This Way, which of course they did everything in their power to not let that happen. And I used to be a part of a ministry that did sponsorships with those dedicating a lot of their time, and it actually did work, but that idea was shut down. He kept being expected to be available 24/7 while not being paid or even treated like a valued contributor, besides paying for meals once in a while. He wanted to work, and as scripture says, a man is worthy of his wages. He wasn't asking for handouts, he was asking to survive. And let's be clear, Jesse has never asked me or anyone around for money. In fact, the few times he's even brought up needing reimbursement for things he's done or paid for, he's come to me feeling guilty for even needing to mention it, and paid money out of his own pocket for the one he now has after paid for his car. And now, like he hasn't mentioned, David has taken the car and given it to his son, the one that he has now that was donated. As his girlfriend, he would be the first to admit, I have challenged him. I've spoken truth to Jesse, and I've seen him receive it even when it was hard. Over the months, I've never once excused anything that needed some correction, because we all know that Jesse can be very blunt. His bluntness takes some understanding, though. I've also seen Jesse apologize when it was necessary and stay true to his values, refusing to be molded into something fake just to make others more comfortable. That's just not who he is. He doesn't play games, but I also have not seen him defame or throw names around or drag people through the mud like I have witnessed come out of these toxic people here. Jesse has made innuendos, but every time a comment has been mentioned, has even said things like, David is awesome, or David will do what he does best, and I will do what I do best. I won't lie, this has been hard. Hard because no one knows me, for one, but Jesse could tell of the person I am. And it's even harder knowing that just by standing beside him, I have become a target too. People who don't even know me have spread lies about me simply because of being with him, which only reveals how unhealthy people in this area are and can be and have nothing better to do. I've even heard people claim I do drugs. And let me be clear, I have never touched drugs in my entire life. Where have you even got such information? I was raised with and live with strong Christian morals and values. I've been a single mother of 13 years, walked in integrity, and worked hard to be a strength and inspiration for other women. I have spent my entire life also helping and serving people. I have a deep passion for social work and believe in using my experience to create solutions that can help others rise above shame, judgment, and struggle. Still, I've stayed not out of blind loyalty, but because I do believe in Jesse and what he's doing. I have come to know him for myself, not through a bunch of other people's opinions and posts. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this: don't push Jesse past his limits. Accuse him of what he hasn't done. Refuse to acknowledge your part and then call him a victim. When you are in fact victimizing, that's manipulation, that's gaslighting, and it erases the real cost that he's carried for the last year. The time, the energy, the relationships, and even the ability to make a living. He gave it all away for Walk This Way Media, and very few have acknowledged that. But if your heart is sincere and your intentions are honest, Jesse will listen. He'll take the time to have that conversation and validate how you feel. It comes down, though, to what is your intention. In nearly 6 months of knowing him, I've seen Jesse grow, not because he was broken down, but because he finally started believing he's worth more. He's softened in the right ways. He's found healthier ways to cope. He started dreaming of what he could have. He even cut his hair. He's found the courage to set boundaries, and yes, some people don't like that. Some have said, I've made him worse or overly confident. But the truth is, they just don't like seeing someone who has finally the strength to say no more of this, because something good for once in his life has happened. Jesse knows what he has to offer now is valuable, and that threatens the systems and people that took advantage of his loyalty. But I'm not threatened. I think it's awesome. I've seen the growth, and I'm still here, standing beside him, even when it's not popular, even when being a lighthouse means standing alone sometimes, because the truth matters. Through all of this, one thing has become clear: the kind of community we're building, the one Jesse and I are committed to, with community-driven network that won't be built on silence, shame, or performance. It will be rooted in honesty, transparency, and integrity. Jesse and I are not perfect, but we're real, and we're not afraid to grow in front of others. That's what leadership should look like. That's what community should look like: transformation and transparency. Together, we're creating something different, a network built on truth, not image, on accountability, not control, on love, not fear. And that's where we'll keep investing our time and energy, into a space where people can be seen, heard, and healed. We'll keep being our authentic selves. We'll keep setting an example, flawed but faithful, broken in places but not bitter, willing to speak up, be a peacemaker, and stand up, stay grounded in what is real, no matter who tries to twist the story, no matter who likes us or who doesn't. We're not going anywhere, and we're not backing down from the kind of community that reflects the values we believe in. Thank you for listening. Much love. Bree.